Hi everyone, it is your boy Baggy Boy here. Going to be having a quick chat about the current Level Up tournament and the new car. So let's go check out that tournament. This is the maybe third tournament where there has been a reviver in the reward structure. So the first place in this war is the Revive Herschel, the very first reviver that came out, and he is a damn fine tune. I mean, he looks cool with that, rocking that lamp and that rag on his waist, but he is just a great card, really. Execution is an excellent skill. Full 50% damage when he rushes is fantastic. He's just reviving one, but he's bringing him back with 60% HP, which is huge. And that's quite a good amount of HP to be coming back with when you're only looking at 50% AP in a rush. How you use him? Well, he actually synergizes quite well with some of these new tunes who add AP when they rush. So Dr. Fascist, or Dr. Stevens, as he's more commonly known, and Negan, if they rush in turn 2, then they in a defense situation. If they rush in turn 2 in a defense situation, they will add enough AP to this Herschel to get him rushing on turn 2 if he has the right weapons and leader. So that's quite significant. It means that you're having this Herschel potentially going off every second turn in defense, which then starts becoming a real problem. Every third turn, not so much an issue. Every second turn with that larger heal as a part of his with that large a HP when the tune is coming back, that's something pretty serious. So he synergizes quite well with those cards in those turn 2 rush builds. So fantastic card. Second place is quite good as well. Baby Blue Beanie Morgan. The thing about this guy is before you level him up, he just has that big pot, that big collar and huge cuffs, and he just looks so damn disco in his blue silk shirt. And he is quite a good tune, very good tune. Great medium dropper. Excellent option as a bit of a tanker. At 56 AP, he's a tiny bit faster than Tyrese, who does 8% defense buff. This guy does a 70% defense buff with the same heal, a little bit faster, but that defense buff is up for 3 turns instead of 2. So he's got a great coverage benefit over yellow Tyrese. So excellent card, definitely worth trying to get. Third place to 5th, is it? Oh no, 3rd to 6th this time is a pretty average green attack, 275% damage at 58 AP, which is not fast enough for a card that's only dropping that little amount of damage. And but he does give a pretty good attack buff for 2 turns to your tunes, but there's still going to be 1 turn where they're not getting that coverage because he's rushing every 3 turns in defense. So that's not what you want. Look, I mean, he's not a useless card, and I'm sure he could be made useful in the right build, and maybe with a Dr. Stevens you could get a turn, but he's not, something to write home about. He does look quite cool though, except the yellow galoshes. I mean, he's got those yellow gumboots, which I guess that's where all those yellow gumboots we find in the roadmap end up. The individual rewards aren't anything to really get into at the moment. There is some gear that comes with the tunes for those that finish in the top 6. Also some other tokens, whatever. Okay, let's head over to Carl. Okay, we're already pretty deep into this video. First of all, is this not the best graphic you have seen so far? And forget about Rosita, okay? That is what it is, but let's just look at how dope this graphic is for a second. With that Carl just chewing up the saviors with that machine gun. He's just screaming something like, "This is for Glenn," or "Get to the chopper." I don't know, whatever. He's just going, but doesn't he look cool? Just with like that scream and like the gun going apeshit in his arms, and he's just like, the ammo's not stopping. He's just got this endless magazine that's going to be firing for the next almost 3 days. Okay. Looking at his stat card is actually quite impressive. First of all, his weapon, meh. It's going to get totally modded. Most out of this card, you need to mod that weapon completely that you're going to be keeping, really. The bleed damage is interesting. Now that I've realised that bleed does stack, bleed is an unexplored area of the game that I think running a multi-fast bleed build if possible, where they could be stacking multiple clem bleeds on top of each other. So instead of getting, if you had like 3 clems and a Dr. Stevens, getting them all up to speed on time, you could be dumping 450 bleed damage per turn, which is pretty damn serious stuff. So that weapon, you're going to be modding that to get this guy pumping out. He's doing 45 AP. 45 AP is the speed of his rush, 250% damage to 4 enemies, but the big kicker is minus 20 AP. He comes with neutralize, which is money when it comes to that is just pure money. Neutralize, excellent skill. What's great about this card is every second turn he's taking 20 AP off the enemy, right? So if he's a better defense toon than he is an attack toon, so I would put him in a to be led by Davey or Ben or Victor. So, I mean, he could sit just fine in an Andrea build and it will make his aura value of 901 even better. And he has the highest attack value that I've been able to see so far. His HP is the lowest I've seen on a 5-star as well, so it's a big catch-22 there. But if you protect him right, if you give him a good defense and HP buff to prevent him from getting shot out, then you can slide him into an Andrea team. He'll get a great attack buff to his, because of Andrea's passive skill, giving him an extra 270 attack value, which makes Carl's 250% is bigger than anyone else's 250% in the game, just raw, okay, off his stats. Then it comes down to the weapon and the leader buff. So I feel like in a fast build, in a turn 2 defense build, what you'd be ideally using him for is buffing his defense and HP to prevent him from getting shot out, because his big benefit to the team is that negative 20 AP. People, if they can't get him out of the game turn 1, 80% of their team is not going to be rushing for the rest of the game. Because every second turn, he's going to be saying, no, there's minus 20 AP to you. And it takes them one turn to build that AP up again, but then Carl gets to attack again. So the application there is grueling of what this card can do to teams. So I'm really quite excited about this card. It's going to be a huge problem card for a lot of players who have just... I think some people are going to massively underestimate this card. If you put this card in a team full of huge threats, so let's say an Andrea team, which is pretty much just a hammer, really. So let's say you had an Andrea team, so 3 Andreas, this Carl, and a Shielder, right? So just going pure damage, and the Shielder to slow people down and keep those Andreas safe. What do? Do they take out an Andrea to prevent an Eagle Eye coming in on turn 1, but then have Carl just pop them down so they won't even get to rush? Do they? Well, they will get to rush. It'll probably just be one turn later, but as it progresses throughout the game, it'll be like an on-off cycle, and they'll just eventually not be able to rush. At least not very often. They could get lucky, and maybe one of their toons will get to rush because they won't get that negative 20 AP. But how do you think you're going to go when only 20% of your toons are in an attack situation? You've been battling with this attack team, let's just say, this hypothetical attack team you've been battling with for weeks, maybe even months if you're in a bit of a rut as far as getting outside of your comfort zone is concerned. And this card comes along and the entire way you've been battling for weeks or months is just out the window now. The rushes that you're relying on go off on a certain time, they're just not there. And so one of the great things about this special is that you can't stop it from happening if he's alive. Because that AP, like, it's not like an impair where you can clear that status with a Yellow Morgan or Garrett or whoever, or even Yellow Glenn if you still use him. What's powerful about this is that it's just a straight up AP deduction. And so you'll still have your toons alive. 250% damage is not a great deal. I mean, it's a big hit. It is a hit, it's 2.5 times the damage you would normally do. And it's on 4 cards, which is pretty serious. But it's not, killing. It's not one-shotting anyone, but it is just making them a lot less effective for an extra turn, which is enough time for a whole bunch of stuff to go against you. It's a whole bunch of time for a Reviver to get a tune up. It's a whole that you may have killed earlier in the match that you would normally be able to shut down because your rushes would kill the human shielder. So maybe you're not able to kill the human shielder you would normally kill in turn 3 because you can't rush. And so, which maybe buys time for that build. Maybe that build has a blue mark in there. Maybe that build has a whole bunch of different tricks up its sleeve that you unable to handle because you don't have the rushes up and running yet. So it is really interesting card. The only way to really get around this, I feel, is if you have a card that is going off on turn 3 and the commander in your team is able to command that turn to go off, then there's a chance there that you could prevent Karl's Rush from working out. That could be from a splash damage card, that could be from a impair card that just hits any number of enemies, or a stun special or whatever. Mirabelle has a pretty good stun special, and her AP is only 45. It's quite fast, so you could, in theory, not Magna, Mirror Boobs. You could, in theory, rush command Mirror Boobs on turn 2, and hopefully get that to land on Karl. So I mean, you've got a pretty high chance that it would. So that would be pretty cool, and that would be one way to deal with it. But it is a tricky card, and it's all about just throwing your opponent's game off, and that is why I'm taking a pull for this card. Just a single pull at this stage, and I've been ranting way long. So we're going to be doing a single open right now. Let's just go for it. We're going to open this card, and I want you guys to like this video up if you want me to do a 10 stacker. You know I love this card. You know I really want to do a 10 stacker, but I want to see you give me love. So I don't normally ask for this, but if I can get, I don't know, 100 love, I'll go for the 10 stacker. So it's up to you guys. I might not get it even if I do the 10 pull, but I really want to have a proper shot. I really want to hear from you about whether you think it's worth it, having heard me out now. Yes, look, it's a card that can be dealt with, but it's going to be a massive thorn on the side, and people aren't going to know how to take it for quite a while, I think, until they really figure it out. So anyway, got a lily, whatever. Anyway, that's it for now. Good luck, everyone, going for this card. I think it is a brilliant card. That's it for now. Baggy Boy out.